Hey, it's Adventureruler, and today I want to do a special Zelda video for Halloween. Happy Halloween! Oh yeah! And I think this is going to be my very first collab. It's going to be with SoulsMidnight. I don't know him very well, and I'm sure it's vice versa. But he loves Zelda, I love Zelda, so we're going to collab and do a Zelda video. We're also both from Jersey, so we got two things in common. Boom! 2 stars. 2 stars on the board. But yeah, if you're also a fellow Zelda fan, alright, hear both of us why we love our favorite dungeons. Oh, and fun fact, we both have the same favorite dungeon. That's pretty funny. I wrote my script before he did, and then when I sent it to him, you know, just to show him basically what we're going to be talking about, he said, wow, you also chose that place too. I thought that was funny. Anyways, enjoy, guys. Imagine this. You find yourself walking into a giant building. Dark, because it's hardly lit from the lack of light, like from torches or candles and stuff. And once in a while, you're hearing echoes. Echoes of a person that sounds like you. So my idea was to have a talk about our favorite dungeons in Ocarina of Time. But when I thought about it, I love the game as a whole and can't really pinpoint which one I like the most. But I do remember Forest Temple always stood out to me, and it's because of the music. Ever since I was a kid, I always found myself in a trance when the sounds of a man would begin, and it was timed with the music. It always had me pondering as I went through the room and solved the puzzles, like, why this dungeon, right? Why is this the only dungeon where the music sounds like it has Link in it? At least to me, it sounds like Link. Then it had me thinking, right, like kind of like psychologically. What if the music is like this because Link is getting the hang of being an adult? Revisiting a familiar place from his childhood, but it's different now. His father figure, the Great Deku Tree, is long gone, and the peaceful village he grew up in is infested and no longer feels welcoming. It's crazy what can happen in 7 years. I know the song only plays inside the Forest Temple, but the temple resides in the Kokiri Forest. What I find cool, and I only realized until writing my script, is that the Forest Temple is like a haunted mansion hidden away in a spooky forest. There's ghosts, there's paintings, and there's a weird hallway that when you walk through it, feels like the world is turning like a circle while you're in its center. Another thing I like, which has carried with me in my life, is the first key. I find it creative that the temple makes it seem like you have to enter a door to begin the temple, but it really begins when the double Wolfos ambush you, because the first key is above you, sitting on a tree. I like that because I do that sometimes when I make levels in Super Mario Maker 2. I make it feel like you just go from one room to the other, but sometimes you have to do a little exploring to find what you need. Lastly, the boss of the temple, the ghostly doppelganger of the game's protagonist, Phantom Ganon. I love this boss because it's a great way to practice beforehand the final fight of the game. So like how the music could be Link coming to terms with his new body and learning more about the world and his current life, he can effectively prepare for the future. It's also creepy because the fight takes place in a basement, and Phantom Ganon is able to ride his horse through the paintings we've seen the Poe sisters pretend to be in as well. So overall, the Forest Temple is just fun, and it's all cohesive. It's great. I love it.
My favorite dungeon in OOT is twofold because they go hand in hand. Now, Ocarina of Time as a whole is an unforgettable journey, but these two dungeons, they stand out in their own haunting way. They don't just test your skills, they test your psyche. They both stick with you in a way that only nightmares can. They crawl under your skin, and honestly, there's no escaping the sense of dread. I think back to when I first encountered the Shadow Temple, the feeling of entering this cursed place that feels as if it's been forgotten by time, and maybe even by the gods themselves. It starts with the bottom of the well, a place buried beneath Kakariko Village. Your first thought is probably, why is this beneath the village? The air is stale, the walls narrow and damp. It's a place of cryptic, unexplained horrors, where the flickering torchlight only emphasizes the oppressive, inescapable sense of fear. And Dead Hand? Hello? What is that, and why is it here? You're not just exploring a dungeon, you're uncovering a part of Hyrule's dark history. The fact that you're down there in the first place, the fact that the well was even a place of interest, speaks volumes about the secrets this village tried to bury. And that reality sinks in when you first hear that low, unsettling noise, the sound of a ghost, or something worse, whispering from the shadows. But the real horrors await in the Shadow Temple itself. You start thinking, why? Why this place? What happened here? The Shadow Temple holds so many secrets, the grisly remains of the tortured, blood on the floor, horrific traps, and the fact that something ancient and evil still lingers. And another dead hand. And those re-deads, the horrific, shrieking monsters that freeze you in place with their terrible gaze. They seem to be lurking in every corner. There's something about how time feels distorted when they're around, like the moments you're frozen are just slipping away. Darkness closing in on you, even as you try to break free. But the Shadow Temple doesn't just rely on fear, it's also a place of mystery. You can almost hear the whisper of the past, a history written in blood, secrets hidden away from the light of day. It's one thing to be surrounded by evil spirits, but it's another to uncover the truth of what happened here. The Shadow Temple doesn't give you answers, it makes you ask more questions. Why are you here? What happened in this cursed place? And that door that leads to the boss, the final chamber, it almost feels like you're walking into a tomb, or worse, into something alive. Then you face Bongo Bongo, a monster born of pure terror and tragedy, one that has no face but only a body of limbless, disjointed terror. The drum starts to beat on its own, and you're not entirely sure where the real danger is coming from. The fight is a test of your sanity as much as your combat skills. It's in these two places, the bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple, that you realize something deep about Link's journey. These aren't just dungeons, they're symbols of the darkness that lingers in Hyrule. While Link is battling off monsters and solving puzzles, he's also uncovering the pieces of the kingdom's haunted history, revealing that the world has never truly been as innocent as it seemed. As an adult, Link is coming to terms with a new reality, one where the land is corrupted by evil forces, where childhood nostalgia fades into the shadows of this growing threat. It's not just about a dungeon, it's about the creeping, suffocating terror. It's about how even in a land filled with light, there will always be places where the darkness reigns. These two dungeons, Bottom of the Well and the Shadow Temple, are forever etched in your mind, not just because of their eerie atmosphere and challenging puzzles, but because they remind you that there is a side of Hyrule we never wanted to know, and yet we must face it if we're ever truly understand the world. Ultimately, these two dungeons are a brilliant piece of design, a perfect blend of suspense, horror, and mystery, and every time you step into its dark embrace, you remember that the true evil of Hyrule is something much older, much deeper, and far more terrifying than anything you've ever faced.